Oh there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another couch video. The CJ King situation, the reality of select professional black men. And before I get started, I want to shout out one of my most faithful supporters, Kwame Triple X, who is himself a select professional black man. And yeah, he sponsored this. He wanted me to address this. And, usually I don't address pop culture or anything happening or what it is of the day. But this is strongly connected to what I talk about anyway, select and non select. And it's actually even bigger because usually when I talk about select, non select, it applies to wherever Western culture is present and it goes across the races. That being said, each race, each group, has a, maybe a cultural slight modification on it. So it's going to come out different. Today I'm going to talk specifically about, select professional black men and, black female selection criteria. And in fact, in the description box, I had actually talked about the black female, specifically about the black female selection criteria back in 2016. And this was a while ago. I ain't even have music for my stuff. So, and because I was really getting into it so people would understand, particularly black men, how black women are specifically choosing men. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and contrary to popular belief, it's not Pookie and Ray Ray. In fact, Pookie and Ray Ray as a whole are non-select to black women. But check out the link to that video I did back in 2016 where I talk about that. Now, let me just say this because the CJ King situation is interesting, but I'm going to really get into the bigger picture with the reaction to him. But it's a real thing because what did he say? I mean, basically, he talked about why he was the prize. Why he was the prize. And I read what he said, and I was like, what? You know what? Look, let's be clear on something. See, there's some people who just see me on YouTube, right? That's how they familiar with me. But I've been doing this relationship stuff on like panels with PhDs and therapists since the 90s. Since the 90s. And even during the period where I kind of pulled away from relationships or even talking about it, my books were still selling. And I would still do a panel with like therapists, PhDs, professionals, like every now and then, right? And one of the things, especially when professional black women talk, professional now, because the audience weren't filled with like, Keisha from the hood or anything. They were filled with black women who had college degrees, who had money and everything. Every single thing that CJ King wrote, black women have expressed, professional black women have expressed. And I've seen that expression since the 80s. And it's probably any of my elders, they could probably say, oh, no, it goes back even further. I'm talking about when I started paying attention. Almost word for word. I'm like, well, wait a minute. I remember when a black woman said this in private at a party half drunk. I remember when a black woman said this on a panel in front of people. I remember when shoot, if I had time, I probably could. I could find some like scholarly PDFs or something written where they saying everything he said. That's all he did. All he did was repeat back what they had been saying for decades. And like I said, if I have any elders, some brothers in their 70s or 80s, they could probably say, nah, young blood, it goes back even further. Seriously. But he had the nerve to say it. He had the nerve to say it. And then, some people say, well, you are arrogant and stuff. But I'm like, oh, whoa. I've personally witnessed and even personally experienced black women who said, professional black women said he like an arrogant black man. Let me let that sink in for a second. And plus, if you want to get deeper, this might go a little bit beyond this, but maybe just a regularly confident black man is seen as arrogant, but then that gets into some, racial dynamics. Whereas a white man with that same attitude or something probably be applauded. I'm just saying. Let's just be real. Political Rom coming out now. So, but that's what he said. I mean, he said that, but like I said, black women been saying the same thing. They say they want it. That guy who is a professional, who has some looks or whatever. Now, I can't judge how women see him physically, but one thing I will point out, I've seen a lot of criticism. I even checked out that dude's IG page. Nobody said anything about his looks. At most, they might say something about his perceived height. His perceived height, but you can't really tell. I mean, you can't really tell by a picture how tall he is. I've had people say I was short until they saw me in person. It's like, oh, wait, you're taller than I thought I was. They thought I was. So you can't even tell that. But none of them, I've yet to see one that say, oh, yeah, he just some ugly dude. They be talking all the other stuff, right? So I'm like, well, okay, so what did he say that was so outrageous that women haven't said? And he's just saying, hey, I'm that. Because think about it. And as far as talking about like, yeah, I'm in that group. I mean, how often have black women gone on national TV? Gone on that, remember that Nightline back in the early part of the decade? Back in the early round, what was it, 2010 or something? Had Steve Harvey, had Hill Harper. Who was it? A couple other women. This dude named Jimmy Israel. It was on national TV. What would the women say? Oh, there's a shortage of men. I mean, there was recently something, I think it was on some cable show. It had Lisa Ray was there. And they were talking about black men on our level and everything. Right? So I'm like, okay, what y'all complain about? He just saying he's there. Don't get mad. What? Because he said it? I mean, shit. He's just repeating. He's just saying, well, hold up. This is the qualification y'all give. Right? And I'm going to tell you what, that status thing has always been an issue because, people talk about looks, money, and status. And remember, I've never once said looks, money, and status don't matter. All I've ever said is you can beat it with sex appeal. That was my very first video on YouTube. I just said you can beat it with sex appeal. But I said, if you don't have it, that shit works. In fact, I got a personal story. I saw that back in 1979. 1979, check it out, right? I was about to attend Archbishop Carroll High School, private school. It was prestigious at the time anyway, right? Had football team, 97% graduation rate. No, 97% of the graduates were going to college. So it was prestigious and everything, and it had a good reputation. It was an all-boys school, but that didn't matter. So many women were fans of anybody you just said Carroll. Now, okay, I'm hanging out with my grandmother, go to visit a friend of hers, right? Okay, the friend had maybe like some 3 teenage daughters because I was 14 at the time. They were the same age. They were mentally unimpressed with me. They weren't saying anything. They would ignore. They weren't trying to be. They were like, And grandma had game. Then she peeped and she was like, Then she said to him casually, oh yeah. She was talking to her friend, oh yeah. Ronnie would be going to Carol. All of a sudden, these girls popped, like, pegged up. Like, oh, Carol. They got all friendly and stuff. And I was like, what the fuck? That's when I learned it. So that status thing is everything. He's always there. Always there. Now, remember, I mentioned the black female selection criteria, right? The black female selection criteria. Now, as far as I can see, just from the outside looking in. Now, women might say something different. That's on them. But on the surface, anyway, he fits into the selection thing. See, a lot of dudes thinking Pookie and Ray Ray are the selecting of black. No, not really. Only a small percentage of them get it like that. And even then, the women don't see him as select. The women who deal with him, that's either the best they can do or they settling. That's the best they can do or they settling. But remember, I've never said any non-select men don't get sex. But it depends. Like women will kick them to the curb in a second. Or women might exercise control, but they're not select. The 2 select men for black females are the Mr. Goodbars and the masked men. Right? Now, the men who fit into the Mr. Goodbar category, those are the men that women consider, particularly black women consider sexy fine. Because remember, a lot of this, in the black community especially, is based on looks. It's in other communities. The physicality is an important thing, but other factors that come in to make them select. The top of the in the black community specifically are the physical appearance. As you don't have to take my word for it, because when I go into Professor Ron mode, I drop the links for you. There's a video by Rebecca Lynn Pope that went viral, where she talked about black women's unrealistic standards. She didn't really call black women, but you know who the fuck she was talking about. And then there's a link from Essence magazine where some professional matchmakers were talking about how women would come to them. They're more concerned about the man's looks. So in the black community, the Mr. Goodbars are the sexy finders. Anybody saying Pookie and Ray Ray, totally ignoring that. Unless those Pookie and Ray Rays look like alpha showpieces or look like they could be a fashion model, nah, they ain't at the top. And that's like 90% of the men in the black community who would be labeled as Mr. Goodbar, top of that sexual hierarchy, are considered sexy fine by the women. 90%. The other 10 might be some dude, got to be some dudes with some like killer ass charisma. Like killer charisma. Like charisma off the chains. All right? But then you got the second tier of the select, which are the masked men. Right? For a man to qualify into that category, see, understand the mask isn't like he's faking or anything. The mask is women looking at the outside stuff he got, right? They looking to see if he got an above average income, not just a steady 9-to-5 job. He has to be above average. And in this climate now, above average got to be 6 figures. In fact, I remember I did a video and I listed it at the income at 50,000, which only in the black community, maybe 16% of men make over 50,000. And a lot of women push back on that. They were respectful, but they push back and say, nah, I gotta be more. So I was like, okay, all right, I'm gonna say 100,000, right? So you gotta have an above average income, either 100,000 or extremely close. Only 6% of, 5% of black men make that. Now I'm gonna put a link in the description box of this website called it's called What Percent Are You? You can check the numbers yourself. You can check all the numbers yourself. All right, and then it's interesting because C.J. King in that post, infamous post now, he said only 7% of black men are professionals. All right, got professional degrees. Now, I'm not sure where he got 7. I'm not sure where he looked at, but I checked blackdemographics.com and looked at the education section specifically, and it stated that 6% of black men have an advanced degree, right? So, so that's okay. So above average income, status, some type of power. They need to be in a position where they can exert some power. Right, some power, some influence or something. They can't just be a regular worker or just some dude just happening to be making a lot of money. And then they have to have some degree of good looks. Now, what women call it now is, and I have to shout out Nicole Michelle, who had talked about sexy fine and husband cute. A man in the masked man category had to be at the very least, if he ain't sexy fine, he got to be husband cute. He got to have some degree of looks. This is an important thing. That's the criteria, right? So, okay, so you got the masked men, right? You got the masked men. And just to be clear, in the black community, most of the men who are considered select, most of them are masked men. Only a few guys gonna be in that sexy fine category. That's like 15%. The other 85% of the men seen as generally select by black women had to work their way there, and they had to do extra. Even if they were conventionally handsome, they had to have a look. They had to have money, status, something like that, right? All right, so they there. Now let's break down why women would really get mad at what he said. Because see, here's the thing with the masked men. They don't just go out, get that money, get that thing, and then mess with Keisha from the hood. Or, that woman who got like 16 kids by 17 fathers or something. There's always paternity fraud in there, right? Nah, they don't mess with that. See, when a man ascends to that level, particularly a black man in this country, oh, he gets picky as hell. In fact, on my woman's channel, I did several like podcasts where I told the women, hey, if you want to level up, and I wasn't talking specifically about black men because white men are the same exact way. The masked white men are the same way. The masked Asian men, whatever the ethnic group, whatever the race. Men at that level, when they have a degree of looks, which means they'll be physically desirable to a woman on some level, body build, that's why one of the reasons I emphasize getting that body right. And some money, oh shoot, they're elitist as hell. Now I told you, and I told several people about this event I went to, upper class event, back in September. And I got the pictures. I got 3 pictures with the attorney I escorted to that thing on my IG. All the men, most of the men were like athletically built. Most of them. Only men who might have been a little out of shape or something like that were their oldest ones. And I can count them on one hand. So they were in shape and stuff. These were definitely at least masked men to women. Like those men who had the degree of looks, physicality, above average status. They were straight up millionaires in there, like millionaire dentists, attorneys. I was one of the few just businessmen. These were professionals, right? But the women were fine. There were no tattoos in there, no weaves, anything like that. And the age range was from like early 20s to like the 60s and 70s. All right. So, but the men in there, they're picky. Men on that level are picky. Professional men are picky. They are leaders. They will reject a woman for not having the right hair. When they're on that level, they will reject her. Look, let's just be raw. Let me just put it out there. They'll reject her for a certain complexion. I know people always talk about their colorism, but let's just be real. Because I've known these men. I've associated with these men. I've been in the professional fields. I know. Like anybody who don't know that, you ain't been in those fields. Especially growing up living in the DC area. Shoot, even on blackdemographics.com, they talk about the number of professionals in this area. So that's what the big deal was, what he said. He let them know a reality. This is a reality. So think about the situation. These guys are select. These are the ones that women want. These are the ones that women have gone on national TV and said they want. Educated, got money, have at least a degree of looks, good body build, healthy, got some level of power, can move through the world with authority. And yeah, even though many will call them arrogant, shoot, some women turned on by it because really arrogance is just confidence. If they can back up what they like carrying themselves, as long as they can back it up, it ain't a big deal. Like I said, some women look for that shit. And especially women who are educated. Especially women who are educated. Because let's throw in that one word again that a lot of people throw out but don't really think about it for some reason: hypergamy. In fact, it's kind of weird that some people would think that some guys would think that some women would chase some street dudes or something and they still practicing hypergamy. No, hypergamy is moving up economically and everything. So they want, if they truly hypergamous, they want that masked man. In fact, in some cases, they want him more than they want Mr. Goodbar. Because Mr. Goodbar don't necessarily have money. Some might. A few might. If you rare, a few might. But most of them don't. They might, if they work and they got ordinary jobs and stuff. But then when women want a little bit more, particularly in the black community, shoot, that's the guy they looking for. In fact, hold on for a second. All right, what's up? Yo, check it out. Like that money thing, a guy who looked like he got something and got some money. This is 2 books. Here's one, Money Issues in Black Male Relationships. This is a deep one that really touched on the issues. And in this book, Crises in Black Sexual Politics, touched on that issue. And this is a real thing. So here this guy come up, And the women be saying, oh, well, he got to have money or he got to be on our level. Okay, this dude got 2 degrees. So he's on, first of all, he's on our level more than a whole lot of these sisters. A whole lot of people on the damn planet. 2 degrees. And as far as how much money he's making, like some people try to come on, oh, well, they got some sisters in human resources and they won't give him a job. He won't be able to get a job. That young brother worked for his uncle. I mean, his father. Not his uncle, his father. His father owns a law firm. His father owns a law firm. Is an attorney who owns a law firm. This dude ain't worried about a job. You know, he ain't worried about a job. He already got one. He got a legacy of a job, right? But you got other men in the same way. So, you know, you got a small percentage. So that's the real issue. It's a rejection in reverse. A lot of women, like, regardless of race, are in a position to reject guys. But this the guy that they're checking for. This the guy they say they want. As long as he got some degree of looks and he got money, please. Shoot, you got entire movements trying to get that type of man. Entire movements of women. Black women trying to get that type of man. And, you know, seriously, you got to really think about it. Let me close with this. Somebody say why I approach this. Because I'm going to tell you what. Even though this video is sponsored by the brother, there are times when somebody hit me up and want me to talk about something and send a donation, and I send it right back because I say that's not something I talk about. So it's not even about the money thing. But this is a real issue. We got to talk about this, particularly when we focus just on black relationships. We got to talk about this because that's the biggest complaint I've seen, even with some guys who might cross over, get a woman from another race or culture. And of course, she's still going to be fine. They ain't getting, guys like that ain't getting some bum woman, right? But the biggest thing the women say is, oh, he taking that money over there. I've had when I was working at a gym and they were complaining about this brother. He was with a white woman. And, you know, he was pretty much in that, like, select type of build and everything. And, you know, and he was basically with a Barbie. And the first thing, they ain't say anything about whether they got along. It's like, yeah, he took all that money over to him. No. And look, let's just be real. That's the reality of the professional man. Come on. He got the status. All of that. Most of them are professionals. I mean, a lot of women don't want to acknowledge. Well, women know it. A lot of guys don't want to acknowledge that. Believe it or not. But that's just the reality. So, anyway, that's all I wanted. And I'm, you know, look, and people say, damn, Rom, you a little fired up. But you know what? I'm going to tell y'all why. Let me share something with y'all. 20 years ago, I wrote an article. It was called Successful Black Men and the Shortage of Good Black Women. And it was from that perspective. Because I used some guy's example. But I said, you know, just to protect them, it's a writer's thing. Say, oh, these ain't real. But they were real. They were real. Oh, it went viral. Some women got hot. But I said, look, this is a reality. This is a reality. And this is a reality with it. Because let me share one more thing with the masked man thing. Reason why he gets elitist, reason why he gets picky. The great majority of them were rejected when they were younger. Great majority. That rejection thing is a thing. So when they get older, when they get their money, when they make it, oh shoot, they like, oh wait, I'm in the driver's seat now. Hold up. And this is a reality. This is a thing, and it's something. I mean, that's why I've told women on my women's channel, right? I said, look, catch that guy. If you want to level up, catch that guy early. I got some pushback. I was like, okay. But I said, you better get that guy early before you get up to that point. If you really want to get him. Because when you get there, he's going to be picky as hell. And even with this dude, CJ King, despite a lot of women going in on him, I'm ready to guarantee. I'm ready to guarantee. I don't even know the dude anything, but a bunch of women hit him up in his inbox who were supportive of him. So there's some deep shit. So, but this is just the reality. So anyway, damn, this is a long one. But, you know, it's deep. You know what, honestly, and I'll say this. This will be the last thing. If we really want to have discussions in the black community, about relationship issues. And trust me, you do have PhDs, you have therapists. Shoot, even in academics, they all discussing. We gotta discuss these things, and we gotta be real about it. All right. So tomorrow, back to the world and everything. But I had to address this. So anyway, I'll get back with y'all tomorrow. Peace.